One of the most noir love songs I could think of. A little treat for you. Virginia O'Brien, a footnote in Hollywood history. She was discovered performing on stage. She had such horrendous stage fright that she just froze. And she would sing with absolutely no animation. And there was an agent in the house and thought, what a great act. And that became her shtick, was to sing all these songs with incredible stiffness. And it worked for her. So look her up on YouTube. They have all of her best numbers on the internet now. I will say, before introducing the next picture, that, man, I study a lot of film. It's kind of become my whole life, and it all, for me, narrative film all boils down to 4 words. Good script, well acted. And Sunset Boulevard is an absolutely perfect script, brilliantly acted, and man, what a treat it is. I just saw that movie twice, like 2 weeks ago, and I sat here and watched it again, and it's absolutely brilliant. That's as close to a perfect movie as I think there is. So it's great to hear an audience applaud wildly a film, you know, so many years after it was made. And in all seriousness, you know, we do this stuff, and it's part of the arts and being immortal is when you have that connection and that applause for the work of these artists is their way of living on. And man, do they deserve it for that picture. It is absolutely extraordinary. And one little tidbit that I forgot to mention in the intro at the top about how audacious a film that was for the time it was made is the realization that Charles Brackett, who co-wrote and produced that film, was, at the time it was made, the president of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. So they were seriously biting the hand when they made this film, and it is absolutely remarkable. Okay, you're not going to see another Sunset Boulevard right now, I'm going to tell you that. But the story behind this film, it is a memorable film because so many people over the years have told me about seeing repeat performance when they were young and how it stuck in their mind. Because there's something about the premise of this film, and definitely something about the opening of the film and the climax of the film that is truly memorable. I call it the film noir version of It's a Wonderful Life. And when I go out here, SIF takes me out to the schools, to high schools and colleges, and we talk about film history and things, and I get the kids talking about what do they think noir is, and have you seen any examples of anything that you might consider to be noir. And one of the things that they all mention, always, is kids who aren't old enough to know what these movies are, their reference point is, it sounds like The Twilight Zone, right? And that is very true in many ways, because a lot of the writers and the types of stories that were noir went to television in the 1950s and were things that you would see on The Twilight Zone or Alfred Hitchcock Presents and shows like that. So there's a lot of truth in that. And repeat performance is very much in that Twilight Zone vein, as you are about to see. And there's even a voiceover narration by actor John Ireland that you could almost hear Rod Serling voicing. We showed this film a few years ago in San Francisco with its star. Joan Leslie was our guest of honor. It was really, really rare, obviously, and the rights holder on the film we found them, and they sent a 35mm print of the film that when we received it and checked it in the projection booth was in such horrible condition that it was not able to be projected. We were rescued that night by a private film collector, Peter Conheim, who had a 16mm print of the film that he had only bought 2 weeks earlier on eBay. So, man, were we lucky. And Peter drove the film like 40 miles to the theater and got it there 35 minutes before showtime, or we would not have had a movie to show when Joan Leslie was there to be honored. So, ever since, so you wonder, why do you choose the movies you choose to restore? That story will tell you why there is now a new 35mm print of Repeat Performance. Joan Leslie was an ingenue. She had been in the movie business since the late 1930s. Under contract to Warner Brothers. She made a lot of terrific films. Sergeant York. She was in High Sierra with Humphrey Bogart and Ida Lupino. She was in The Hard Way with Ida Lupino, all as a teenage girl. Repeat Performance was like her coming out party, her first role as a fully mature young woman. She fought long and hard to get out of her contract. She fought Jack Warner. She felt that she was an indentured servant to the studio, and she wanted to get out of playing these young girl roles and do something more mature and dramatic. And Repeat Performance for Eagle Lion Pictures was the answer to that. Her co-star in the film, Lewis Hayward, was Mr. Ida Lupino, and it's kind of shocking. If you read about him and do some research, you realize that he's playing a role in this film very, very close to the person he was in real life. It was a very sad story. He was a big star, and then very much like A Star is Born or something, Ida's fame and celebrity far surpassed his in the 1940s, and he went off to serve in World War II as a cameraman, and was in the South Pacific serving, and really came back very traumatized and shell-shocked from the experience, and was really not the same man. And their marriage kind of dissolved, and he drank quite a bit. And so the Louis Hayward that you're going to see in this film tonight is very close to what he was actually like at the time that he made this film. It also stars Tom Conway, who some people remember as the Falcon in the movies. His brother, George Sanders, also played the Falcon in the movies. They're very sophisticated and urbane gentlemen. And the movie is very notable for being the on-screen debut of actor Richard Basehart, who is really, really terrific in this film and plays a very, very interesting character, a poet named William Williams. And it's quite an intriguing film, directed by Alfred Worker, who is a often overlooked director. He made a picture called He Walked by Night that he doesn't get credit for because everybody assumes that Anthony Mann actually directed the film. But Worker did direct a lot of that film, and he has done a few really terrific movies in an otherwise somewhat mediocre oeuvre. But this film is really a special little treat, and it's a rarity. It's never screened on Turner Classic Movies. The only way you can actually see this movie in glorious black and white is with this print that the Film Noir Foundation has now restored. So it is my pleasure to present Joan Leslie and Richard Basehart starring in Repeat Performance. Thank you.